Hello and good evening or good afternoon, depending upon where you are. Welcome to my first ever live event. This is going out live on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram. Now, I can't tell who's joining from where, but I can see your comments. So if you wish to say hello, feel free. And if anything juicy comes up, then I'll share it with everyone. What we're going to talk about today is something that is actually very close to my heart that I use on myself, and possibly more than I would like to explain. In actual fact, um, that uses the concept of archetypes. Now, archetypes are something that we naturally consider to be part of Jungian psychology. And I certainly learned it via Jungian psychology. But I have to tell you that what I am going to show you tonight is a little bit Jungian and a little bit me. Yeah, because when you've learned something and then you kind of find ways that it works for you, you kind of twist it and change it. And so please don't take what I am doing here as verbatim Jungian archetypes, but it's the bits of it that I've found that are incredibly useful to solve problems, to resolve conflicts and conundrums, to find ways to go towards goals that you want to go towards, but that for whatever reason you're not quite getting down to. So in a moment, I'm gonna go through this whole experience with you so that you can actually participate in it. And uh, afterwards, you'll find that the thing will be recorded anyway, so you can go back and look at it if you want, because this is a tool that you can use on your own at any moment when you've got 20 minutes, half an hour for yourself to resolve your own conflicts. And so that's why I thought it would be a fantastic thing to offer tonight. So when we get into the experience, I want you to stay in the zone. I don't want you to be kind of, you can do it with your eyes open or you can do it with your eyes closed, but I don't want you to be kind of stopping a little way through and writing some notes and then getting back in and then writing some notes down. So if you've got the opportunity, what I found works very well for myself when I do this is that I speak aloud my thoughts and I record it on my telephone. So if you've got like a voice memo app on your phone or something like that, you might find it useful just to record the audio once we start. Yeah. Because otherwise you'll find yourself halfway through the process thinking, oh, I need to remember that. And did I think about that correctly and all that kind of stuff. Whereas if you've got the recording afterwards, then you could go back theoretically and refer to it should you need to. Interestingly, in actual fact, it's less about the individual conclusions that you come to and more about the energy that you release where the benefits come from. But let's talk first of all about what archetypes are. Okay. So in my story, and if you've seen any of my videos, you'll know that I rabbit on a lot about this. The stories in our mind that we have come to understand based around chance occurrences from our past come to define what we are good at, what we're bad at, what's right, what's wrong, what's painful, what's pleasing. These typically often one shot learning experiences come to define our sense of ourselves. They come to define our sense of our identity, what we're good at and what we're bad at. And then we see ourselves in the light of that through every consequential event afterwards. So the end result is that we kind of compound what it is that we thought we knew before, and we continue looking for examples that reinforce that. And we hand all this off to, what some people call their subconscious, right? The back of our mind, the habitual part of us, call it whatever you wish. And then they just run there in the background. And one aspect of this is this concept of archetypes. So the idea of archetypes is that everybody loves a story. When someone says once upon a time, we sit back, we dive into the story. As soon as someone says once upon a time, we kind of know it's a moment where we can let go of our critical judgmental thing and we can just kind of enjoy a story. And so these things, these stories tend to go in. So, you've got the obvious stories in life, your fairy tales. Let's have a look at this through developmental theory. So when you're very young and you're a child, you have all of these fairy tale Brothers Grimm type good and bad, right and wrong type stories. You've got all of your media, your TV, your Disney characters. But as you go on through life, you have, well, news, right? The villain, the hero, all these things which are reinforced by cultural stereotypes, let's say, that come to kind of impregnate us with a whole series of archetypal characters that live within our psyche and they live at the back of our mind. So Jung came out. I've got one presentation slide. So I will show you the one presentation slide that I've got. And this is not an exhaustive list, but you can see here a whole variety of different types of characters: the innocent, the sage, the explorer, the outlaw, the magician, the lover. Yeah. All of these are running around in the back of our mind. And we tend to resonate with some more than we resonate with others, let's say. And so we have what you might consider to be a whole series of energies, these stories that rattle around in the back of our mind. And they can be very, very positive because they tend to correspond quite strongly with our core values, with our sense of justice and injustice. The moments when we feel really like us, when we forget to think that a thought is just a thought and it feels really like us, it's because it's kind of tickling on the edge of one of these archetypes that we particularly relate to. Go back to the big one. So, what that means, therefore, is that these archetypes tend to exhibit themselves in our lives in those critical moments of our life. If there's a particular juncture in life where you feel a little bit on edge, then these characteristics, these archetypal characters, are more likely to show themselves when you're under pressure. So, what I'm going to do today, the reason why you should care about this, the reason why I care about this, is that in addition to it being something which is just sat at the back of our mind that sometimes comes up when we have these trigger moments, let's say, we can use these archetypes. We can use them for our greater good. We can use them to effectively give us a new perspective on something that we were kind of looking at through tunnel vision. And here's the difference, right? So if you have, and I hope you've come with a problem, a conundrum, a conflict, or a goal that you want to go towards. But if you were to tell me precisely what that is, if I just by chance happened to have the perfect solution, and I know that in my heart, and I tell it to you, likelihood is that you'll just flick it away, right? There's a part of you which will kind of go, yeah, but that wouldn't work for me. Because you haven't really worked on it. You haven't really come to your own conclusions. Someone's told it to you, and so you just kind of bat it off. The reason why these archetypes are so fantastic is because it's not somebody else that's telling you. It's an aspect of yourself that's telling you. So the reason why these things are so fantastic is that it gets you out of your usual thinking pattern, but it invites you to consider other aspects of your psyche, of your personality, characters that live within you that perhaps sometimes speak with a quieter voice, let's say, and for them to give you their wisdom on something that you thought you knew everything about. And so the end result is you get new perspective, but it's not coming from a third party. It's coming from a different part of you. And so you're far, far more likely to listen to that, to pay attention to that, to really deeply consider it and come to a conclusion. So I do this on myself, right? Whenever I have something that is bothering me, even if I can't work on it in the moment, I might park the feeling and then I'll go to it and I'll go through this process that I'm going to show you. So the only thing you need to bring is a goal, is an idea, is a question. Okay. So what I would suggest You want to find a goal or a conflict or a conundrum or something that you are struggling with, but you want to put that in a sense which makes it a towards goal, a question that if you knew the answer to that question, it would move you towards where it is that you're wanting to go. Okay. So the question could be, how can I do X? Or how can I move towards X? How can I resolve X? Something like that. It wouldn't be, how can I stop procrastinating, for example? It would be, how can I get on with whatever it is that I truly want to do? Yeah. And the thing is, what you want is for that question to be impactful. For you to think that if you knew the answer to this question, that would be a fantastic thing. Okay. So if you could find a question where if you knew the answer, your body would vibrate, right? You would actually have a physical response that kind of goes, wow, that's fantastic. Then that's what we're looking for as a question. So if you need a moment to think about that, please take a moment. What can I say? If it's a conflict, for example, so you could make it just as simple as, well, how do I resolve this conflict? Do I do X or do I do Y? But to me, that doesn't really excite me particularly. So what I would find more useful would be, okay, so why is there a conflict? Why do I care about the conflict? What is the outcome that I wish to achieve? And find your question that you can then go and ask these archetypes that if you knew the answer to that, you would have your ideal outcome. So instead of saying, well, do I go to the beach or the mountains, for example, the question could be, how do I create the best holiday that I've ever had in my life, for example, or the best day trip I've ever had in my life, something like that. Yeah. So it resonates. So you really feel kind of thrilled to find an answer to this question. So I hope with that you can come with a question. Maybe you want to write it down, because when we start this process, it's up to you whether you do it with your eyes open or you do it with your eyes closed, but I would suggest it's probably more immersive to do it with your eyes closed. So it might be useful if you've written down the question that you would love to have an answer to, and you can hold it in your hand, and then you can kind of go through the process, and it'll remind you if ever there's a need to be reminded, right? If you, just in case you happen to be in a deeply, deeply immersive state. So with that in mind, then let's crack on. Let's have a little bit of fun. The only thing you need to bring is a sense of open-minded curiosity. Right? This is a moment that's just for you. It's a little gift, a time that you can look after yourself. The outcome is kind of immaterial. Yeah. So there's no need to judge yourself based around how you think you're doing or not doing. Enjoy it, but go into it with an intention that you want to find uh, some kind of an answer to this question that you've asked, and see where that leads you. Just see where it leads you, with a sense of open-minded curiosity, maybe a sense of self-kindness, um, sense of general acceptance, perhaps lack of judgment. Let's go with that. And so we'll begin. We'll start the process. So I guess I should give you my kind of standard hazard health warning, because this will go out as a recording afterwards. So even though it seems quite obvious, there is the potential for you to close your eyes should you choose to do so. So please only continue to proceed with this if it's safe and appropriate to do so. If you're not driving, if you're not operating machinery, only continue when it feels absolutely safe and appropriate to do so. And so with that in mind now, if you are going to record this, then feel free to start your voice recorder. And as I say, you can close your eyes whenever you choose to do so. But what I would suggest, and I don't know, maybe you're probably sat down, but maybe you're lying down. I shouldn't assume. So if you're sat down, make sure that your hands are separate. Some people can't fold their hands. So make your hands separate, put them down by your sides. If you're sat on a chair, put your feet flat on the floor so that you kind of feel grounded. Because what I would invite you to do is to imagine now, especially if you've got the support of a chair behind you, imagine that you're resting against the trunk of a really big old oak tree. And if you want to close your eyes, feel free to do so. If you prefer to keep your eyes open, that's perfectly okay. But just imagine this old oak tree, and you're sat at the base of the tree, so maybe you can feel some of the roots coming out of the tree. Maybe you can feel grass growing. Maybe the sun is shining. Even if it's a winter day, maybe it's a beautiful winter sun, and you can feel the sun on your cheek. Maybe there's a gurgling stream, and you can hear the water just gurgling as it goes past. Maybe there's a breeze, and you can hear the breeze through the leaves of the tree. But what I want you to do is to really, really share the grounded presence of the oak tree. And so that's why it's usually quite helpful to close your eyes and just taking a good deep breath and hold the breath and then let that breath go. Taking the second good deep breath, hold the breath and let that breath go. And maybe you can become aware of the support of the chair that's around. Maybe you can notice the texture of the material that's touching your body. Maybe you can notice the material texture of the chair or the bed. Perhaps you can notice your left elbow. And perhaps you can notice how different the left elbow feels from the right elbow. And the more that you focus on that inner experience, the more you notice how still your body has become and how comfortable it feels. Maybe you can feel your heart in your chest. With every breath that you breathe in, you can breathe in peace. And with every breath that you exhale, you can just release any tension in your body. And so as you focus again on that support on your back from the old oak tree, we're going to invite just 4 of those archetypes to come and join us one by one. And I can share a link to the other archetypes at a later time so that you can pick and choose those at a later date if you do this for yourself. But for now, I'd like you just to invite the warrior archetype. And I don't know what the warrior archetype might look like to you, if you can see them. It could be a man, it could be a woman, it could be an animal, it could be a shape, it could be a feeling, it could be an energy. Whatever feels right to you, this is your time, this is your story, you get to choose. But the warrior is very powerful. The warrior might be very defensive. He has got drive, passion, strength, courage, determination. If the warrior is very, very powerful, if you feel a little bit uncomfortable with that amount of power, maybe you want to consider its protective intent. But what I would invite you to do is to invite the warrior to come close to you. Not too close, close enough that you feel comfortable. And this is an aspect of your personality that has been with you for a very long time, maybe for your whole life. And so it might be a rather strange feeling as the warrior comes towards you. And as the warrior comes towards you, I want you to notice what you notice. I want you to see how the warrior looks. Do they have a shape? Do they have a feature? Do they have a character? How are they dressed? How are they coming towards you? Are they walking? Are they flying? Consider the warrior's voice, their posture, how they animate themselves, the body language which exhibits. And when you're ready, try saying hello. Try inviting the warrior to have a conversation with you as part of you. Say hi. Ask, do you have a name? Maybe it's obvious. Where do you normally live, warrior? Really, really start to engage with the warrior. And maybe you even want to start speaking as the warrior in order to get a real feeling so that you can intensify the vivacity of the experience. What do you do for fun, warrior? Where do you go when you want to have fun? See what comes back. How does your energy help me, warrior? Are there ways in which you are different to me? Start to have a good, relatable conversation. Now, as I say, ordinarily, if I was doing this one-on-one with someone, I would be scribbling down furiously all of your responses. But as I say, it's more about the essence, the energy which you are exhibiting by going through this process. And if you do speak it out and you can hear it later, then you'll probably find that's very fruitful. So ask the warrior how the warrior normally shows up in your life. The particular times, particular circumstances where they, whatever they are, show up. When are they most active in your life? And when you feel as though you've got a really good sense of the warrior, this aspect of your personality which seems so vivid that can be in front of you, ask them if it's okay to ask them a question. Maybe you want to thank them first for having arrived. Thank them for having been there for so long and maybe you weren't even aware of them. And then say, I've got this question that's been bothering me, and I wonder if you've got any advice that you'd like to provide to me. And then give them the question. I'll go quiet for a minute. See what comes up. Maybe the warrior's got a lot to say. Unfortunately, I don't know when you're going to stop talking. So I'll guess that the essence of whatever it is that they've said gives you a feeling for what it is. And when you're ready, if you need to turn me down for a minute and you carry on talking, then that's perfectly okay. But if you're ready, thank the warrior. Maybe you want to ask them if they are able to share with you sufficiently in your life. Do they think they would like more time in your life? Are there other times in your life that they think it would be useful that they were there to contribute, perhaps? And here's a usual fantastic question. Ask them other than the question that you've asked. Are there other things that they would like to say to you? There are other things that you think that they think you need to hear. That can be very powerful. And then when you're ready, ask the warrior if there is a method, a way, maybe a word, a, a sound, a smell, an action, a thought that you could use to call on the warrior when you need them in the future, so that they're available when you feel as though you could use their advice again. Ask them, see what they might contribute. And then when you've got an answer to that, if they've got nothing else to say, and you can thank them very much, in the full knowledge that you'll be able to see them again in the future, whenever you choose to do so, you can say goodbye. And you can watch them, however they look, wandering off, flying off, or disappearing into the air, going away. And if you've had your eyes closed during that experience, maybe you want to open your eyes, take in a good deep breath, shake it off, basically. Go back to neutral. Kind of let the idea of the warrior disappear completely from your thought. It's useful, but for the time being, it's done. And then when you're ready, if you want to close your eyes again, this would be a good time to close your eyes again. Settle your core and return to the oak tree. So you're sat with your back against a powerful, old, wise, stable oak tree. You can hear the stream. You can feel the sunlight on your cheeks. Maybe you can hear the rustle of leaves. Maybe the tree is on the flat in a meadow. Maybe it's on the side of a hill. But really, again, share in the groundedness of the tree. Taking a good deep breath again. Breathing in peace. And breathing out any tension that remains in your body. Noticing how still your body has become once again, and how comfortable it is that your arms can stay completely still. With every breath, breathing in peace and breathing out any remaining tension, almost as if you could breathe out any tension through the soles of your feet. And when you're completely at ease, connected with the stability, the history, the groundedness of that big old oak tree, let's invite the second archetypal character to join us. And the second character that we're going to ask is the magician. Now, the magician is an extraordinary character. So I don't know how the magician is going to look for you. The magician is playful. He is creative. He is fun. He sees stuff nobody else sees. He's able to create a sense of enchantment. He's able to shift emotions. He's the ultimate definition of creativity. He's limitless. And he's here, or she's here, or it is here. Maybe it's an animal, maybe it's a bird, maybe it's an ether, maybe it's a gaseous expanse with a shimmering sort of vibrancy of energy around it. However it feels to you. And get a sense of that, even if it's in the distance, and encourage the magician to come forward. This playful, creative extraordinary energy. And we'll go through the same process with the magician. So maybe as you can see the magician in the distance, beckon them to come forwards. However it is, notice how they look, notice how they walk or move, or fly or swish or whatever it may be. Allow them to come closer. If they have a voice, notice the timbre of their voice. Notice how you feel when they come close. Get them at a distance that seems to be comfortable for the two of you. Notice the expression on their face. Notice the look in their eyes. See them smiling. Maybe see them laughing. Hopefully they're absolutely thrilled to see you. Hopefully the idea of having finally been requested is an extraordinary experience. Because this is a part of you. It was there all along. It's just waiting to be invited. Ask the magician, do you have a name? What should I call you? How should I treat you? Where do you show up in my life? Are there particular times that you seem to show up more often than other times? What do you do for fun? Where do you go for fun? Where do you normally live? What are you doing when I'm not thinking of you? Invite the magician to express whatever they want to express. And if it feels right for you, start speaking as the magician. That can be a very deeply relatable experience. Ask the magician the same question you asked the warrior. Are there ways that you're different to me? And then when you're ready, when it feels as though you've developed a sort of a sense of rapport with the magician, ask the magician. Say, thank you, I'm very much grateful that you've come. And I've got this question that's been nagging away at me, and I want to find a solution. Can you give me any advice? And ask them the question that you have. So I'll go quiet for a minute again. So hopefully the magicians come up with some fantastical responses, some really, really creative ideas. Maybe some of them are really crazy, outrageous, limitless, but maybe there's a little nugget in there which is unbelievably useful that you would never have thought about in another manner. As before, give the magician all the time that they require to give you a really good answer. And then thank them. Thank them for their response. Thank them for coming. Thank them for anything that they've done for you in the past that you'd never really had the opportunity before to say thank you for. And then ask them again, would you like more time in my life? Are there times that you think I shut you out and I should invite you? And are there things other than this question that you'd like to tell me? Are there things that you think I need to hear about this subject, or maybe about something entirely different? And maybe as you're going through this process, you can notice a shift in the way that you relate with yourself. I find that's a very curious feeling. And then as before, ask the magician, are there particular times that if I want to be able to call on you, I can create a trigger? Is there something that I can do? Can I think of a word, a thought, a noise, an action, a wish, something that I can use to call upon you when I need you? And come up with a good idea. Because the magician's an extraordinary character. And then when you're ready, thank the magician for coming. Really, really make friends with this character. Sometimes people have a strange relationship with a magician. So really thank. And then when you're ready, you can say, just for now, a brief goodbye. Watch them wander off, or fly off, or wisp away into the ether. And then when you're ready, if you had your eyes closed, you can open your eyes and shake off the magician, taking a good deep breath and kind of return yourself back to a state of whatever you would call full and present awareness, and taking a good couple of deep breaths, get yourself back to normal. Maybe there's something particular to reflect upon. And then when you're ready, we'll do this a third time. So again, let's ground ourselves back against the old oak tree. So you can close your eyes down. Notice the support of that oak tree pressing against your back. Maybe you can notice the gnarls of the bark. Maybe you can notice the feeling of the roots of the tree pressing against your legs. Or maybe you just notice the support of the chair that you're sitting in. Imagine what it would feel like to have the sun, each little ray of sunlight coming through the branches of the tree and dancing on your cheeks. Hearing the wind, the breeze rustling in the leaves. And if there's a stream nearby, you can imagine the gurgling of the stream as the water trickles along. Maybe there's a few stones in the stream creating those little gurgling noises. Maybe you're either side of a hill, maybe you're on the hill. Maybe it's a really, really flat prairie plain. You can notice the smell of the grass. Again, notice your inner experience. Notice the temperature of the air as you breathe in, and the difference in temperature as you breathe out. Perhaps you can notice a tingling sensation in your body. The more you focus on your inner experience, the more again you notice how easy it is for your body to become still, for the chattering part of your mind to go calmer, and for you to really, really enjoy this experience of being you. Nothing to do, nothing to prove, just a moment to explore. And when you're ready, I'd like you to invite the third archetype. And the third archetype that I'd like you to invite along is the lover. Maybe the lover is a maternal character. It's a very kind, a very caring personality. The lover is very nurturing, very considerate, very gentle. Everything that comes from the lover comes from the heart. And I don't know what that might look like to you, but invite that archetype forwards. Maybe you can get a sense of it in the distance. Maybe it's already there in front of you. I don't know. But really invite the lover to come forward. Really invite that kind, caring, considerate, gentle element forwards. Thank it, them, for coming. Invite them to take a seat, to rest. Notice what they look like. Notice the expression, if there is an expression, if there's a face. Notice the way they hold themselves. Notice their clothes, if they're wearing clothes. Notice their eyes. Notice if they're smiling, if they're gentle. Ask them where they normally live. Ask them what they do the rest of the day when they're not talking with you. Encourage them just to tell you something about them that you could never have guessed. Ask them where they show up in your life. Ask them when they don't show up in your life. Start speaking as the lover. Almost like an old friend that you haven't seen for years and years and years, but somehow the moment that you meet again, you just pick up as if it was just a second ago. Ask the lover, how does your energy help? Are there ways in which we're alike and ways in which we're subtly different? Ways in which we're very different. And again, when you're ready, if you've got your question in your hand, just explain to the lover that you've got this question, it's been bothering you, and you want to find a solution, and for whatever reason it doesn't seem to be coming, and can you give me some thoughts, some advice? What would you do if you were me? What do you think is the most important, essential part of this question that I haven't been considering? And I'll go quiet like before. And once you've got a sense of a response, again, you can thank the lover. They're a part of you. You can call on them like the others whenever you consciously choose to do so. So ask them, would you like more time in my life? Are there times in my life that you think I would really benefit from bringing you forward more often? Ask them, invite them. Are there things other than this question that you'd like to say to me? What would you like to tell me? It can be a wonderful thing to relate to these aspects of yourself that don't get sufficient space to breathe. And again, then, when you're ready, ask them, is there a particular way that I could call upon you if I need you in the future? A thought, a word, an idea, an action. See what they say. And then again, invite them if there's anything else that they want to tell you to let that be spoken. And then say goodbye. Let them wander off into the everything else. For this moment, in the full knowledge that you can bring them back whenever you choose to do so. And again, then open your eyes, take in a good deep breath, shake them off. If you want to move around for a little bit, move around for a little bit. Then we go back to neutral. For the final archetypal character. And so again, when you're ready, let's imagine that you're sat in the roots of the tree, the oak tree. You have your back pressed against the oak tree. It feels very stable, very strong. It's been there for a long, long time. You can notice again the warmth of the sun, the breeze, the stream, the grass. With every breath that you breathe in, you can feel more and more at ease. Every breath that you exhale, you can just breathe out any of that feeling from any of the previous three archetypes. Let it all out. Just for a moment to look after yourself. There's nothing to do here, nothing to prove, nothing to say. You're already perfect. It's a moment just to look after yourself and to be curious and to be kind and see what comes out. And so as you sit there with your back against the wise, old, timeless, stable, rock-solid oak tree, let's invite the fourth and final archetype. And this archetype is a sovereign character. It could be a king, it could be a queen, it could be an overseer character. It's someone that is able to take a very, very wise, broad look at life. The sovereign sees the bigger picture. He doesn't have a bias. He doesn't have a particular motivation. He's a planner, or she's a planner, or they're a planner, or an essence. It's someone or something that is an overseer, a stabilizing factor, filled with potential and wisdom. This is wisdom personified. And so I don't know how this archetype might look to you. It might be a person. They might be young. They might be old. It might be an animal. It might be a bird. It might be an essence, an energy. It might be something from your memory. It might be something from your imagination. But invite the sovereign to come forward. See if they'll come. They're a powerful character too. Invite them to come, beckon them forward, and see if you can bring them so they're within a couple of meters of you, whatever they are. And thank them. Thank them for coming. Notice what you notice. Notice the difference that makes the difference. Notice the body posture, the way that they hold themselves. The body language, which is so subtle you wouldn't even notice if you hadn't paid attention. Notice their eyes, if they've got eyes. Notice their expression, their character. And if you feel comfortable, speak as the sovereign. And if not, you can ask them questions if it's easier. Ask them again. Where are you normally? Where do you come from? Where do you live when we're not having this conversation? What are you doing the rest of the time? Find out what they're planning. Find out when they show up in your life. What are the aspects of your life in which they engage? What are the aspects in your life that they think they should engage with more? Let them talk. Let them breathe. They know a lot. Sovereign is filled with wisdom. Ask them what they do for fun. Do they have time for fun? Where do they go when they want to have fun? What do they do? Ask them what their name is, if you don't know. Let them express themselves. Let them teach you things. Again, ask, are there ways that we're similar? Are there ways that we're different? And when you're ready, ask them the question. The sovereign has heard everything that has gone before, heard everything from the 3 previous archetypal characters. Ask them their conclusions. This question that has been gnawing away at me, can you please help provide me with some advice? I'll go quiet for a moment. And when they've spoken, when they've given you their advice, ask them, like before, are there other things that you think I need to know? Are there things that you have to say that might benefit? Ask them if they'd like to spend more time with you. Ask them if there are particular circumstances in your life where they really think that they would be an ideal fit and that it would be good for you to call upon them in those needs. And ask if that's the case, how can you call upon the sovereign? What would you do to call them? Maybe you can think of a particular action, a word, a name, a thought, an imaginary idea that can bring them forward. Agree it with the sovereign. And then with all of that wisdom, all of that knowledge that actually came from deep inside of you, if there's nothing else for them to say, thank them and say goodbye for now, in the full knowledge that you can bring them back whenever you choose to do so. And then when you're ready, you can shake them off, open your eyes if you've had your eyes closed, come back up to a state of full present awareness, whatever that may mean to you, and just take stock. Because what you're doing is gaining a whole series of perspectives on yourself that you weren't normally inviting. If anyone has any particular responses for that, any particular thoughts, I would love to hear from it. But it tends to be a rather private matter, this process. So if it takes a little bit of time to process and think about, all well and good. Sometimes these things come up in dreams during the night. So if you were recording on your audio device, then you can turn it off. That's everything that was going to come has come from that. And so I hope that's of use. This is something, as I say, that I draw upon whenever I find myself with a particular conundrum, a particular conflict, something that is confusing me, or apparently I have a goal that I want to go towards, but for whatever reason, I'm just not getting down to it. Ask these characters, and they give me their truth. And then I look at that and I think, huh, never thought about that. And because they're coming from parts of me, you tend to pay more attention to that than perhaps if you read it in a book or you saw it on a YouTube video. So thank you very much for watching. It's yeah, 56 minutes. So I've kept within the hour. So I hope that's okay. I know for a live video that's quite long. Um, but I thought that this is something which is particularly powerful, so it might be useful to share it with people. So thank you very much for watching. Um, in case anybody needs my contact details, they are there. And do feel free, if something of what I have said brings up particular feelings, thoughts, emotions, and you want to have a chat with me about it, you will find on my website. It's very easy to set up a free consultation, a free clarity session, and I do that with pleasure with anybody that thinks it would be of benefit, and so I heartily encourage you to do so, and let's make the world a better place, sort of thing. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll do this on a regular basis. I'm not exactly sure how often I'm going to do it, so regular might be, I don't know what regular will mean. We'll see. I'm also thinking about maybe making this more interactive by doing it over Zoom as a group session. So if you have any thoughts on that, and if you would like to contribute, then let me know, and we'll take it from there. All right. Thank you very much. Take care. Have a good evening if you are European time zone, and if you are out in North America, then have a great afternoon and the rest of your day. All right. Thank you very much. Take care and goodbye.